The bold ones. Leslie Nielsen. Harry Rhodes, public servants enforcing the laws of a challenging society. E.G. Marshall. John Saxon. David Hartman, doctors expanding the horizons of the new medicine. Earl Ives. Joseph Campanella. James Farentino, lawyers defending justice in the nation's courtrooms. The bold ones. Officers, a white deputy chief of police, a black district attorney. Involved public officials encountering challenging issues in today's highly charged explosive times. Taking strong action that brings them both praise and abuse. Men of feeling and intelligence, forced by the harsh realities of a turbulent society to sometimes mask these humane qualities. The world of the protectors, in today's rapidly growing cities, a troubled but exciting arena. These are two of the bold ones, men dedicated to your safety and protection.
And know the deal, boys. It's questions in the press room only, short and sweet.
Does he seem any different to you?
I never met Tacoma before. As far as I know, the district attorney hasn't either, so we're a couple of virgins, Tacoma-wise.
What did you think of him?
Lou, let's just say I resisted the temptation to ask for an autographed copy of his book.
Now?
Now.
Let's go, pal.
A little crowded in here. This the place?
Martin, how do you feel?
Alive. Which isn't how I expected to feel for much longer after last Tuesday night, when I was 2 hours from the death chamber. 2 hours, 12 minutes and 52 seconds.
We understand you'll be your own lawyer today after you leave.
I work cheap.
Well, judging by your success with that last-minute appeal, you've taught yourself to be quite a constitutional lawyer.
As you know, the main part of the prosecution's case lies in the deathbed declaration by one of the victims, somebody's victim. Now, could you move back a little bit? But I'd say it's more a matter of luck than brains when, after fighting for my life for 7 years, one way or another, I found out that the Supreme Court reversed the conviction in a similar case, when the defendant, like myself, never had a chance to confront his accuser, cross-examine them in person in front of a jury. But I think I did teach myself something in those 7 years. Something very important, something more than being a jailhouse lawyer. Something very hard. To be a person, human being.
And of course, that's what those thousands of people who have agitated on your behalf are saying, isn't it?
No, that's not true at all. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not on my behalf. Is that what you're telling people this is all about? The work that's been done on my case is on behalf of every man and woman who's sitting and rotting in every death cell in every state in this so-called enlightened country. Don't you understand what they're saying? Prisons should teach people how to live, not just how to sit and wait and die. You see, if a man is somehow to keep himself alive year after year after year in the shadow of the death chamber, he must learn very early that anything good, anything compassionate, is at the very least conceivable.
The prisoner will be moved in 1 minute.
I'm all set, Sam. You, sure you and your boys can get this desperado over here safely?
Ho. Got a hunch you'll be losing that delightful sense of humor after your first meeting with that distinguished writer, public figure. Say nothing of rapist and murderer.
Different from simply doing time. Can you explain that?
Yes,
Oh, he is a cutie, Bill. He knows all the tricks.
Special guard.
Make a cute TV commercial out of the headache we've inherited with this case.
My headache, Sam. Nobody's forcing you to help me.
He is forcing me. I'll see you in 5 minutes, 10 o'clock on the nose. You can expect the Siamese twins. Me and Carol Chessman Jr. here. Wait here for a minute. I want to make sure the building's empty before we go across.
You don't have to worry about me. I haven't had much exercise in the last 7 years.
I'm not worried about handling you. It's some well-meaning jerk out there trying to bust the police line to make contact with you. That's what worries me. That or another Jack Ruby. Danforth. Yeah. We'll be right down. There's a car downstairs. Let's go. Just a minute. I want to make this a personal delivery.
You must want to get your picture in the paper pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's my big chance. We don't come across a Martin Sitomer every day of the year, you know. Is that too tight?
It's fine. Listen, are you the one that helps the DA pull all this together? Is that you?
That's right.
You know, collects witnesses, digs up evidence out of old filing cabinets.
You're right again.
Knowing exactly what you want to find. Anything that might prove me guilty. And exactly what you don't want to find, anything that might hint of my innocence. Huh?
Sitomer, let's get one thing straight. I do think you should have gone 7 years ago. But the state, in all its wisdom, has decided to give it another go-round. Now, my job, until you're ordered back to death row, is to see that nothing happens to you. You or anybody else. A police officer or an innocent bystander.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want that to happen.
Fine. Then we're practically on the same team.
Practically.
Sit down.
So the defense moves, Your Honor, that this arraignment procedure is without legal basis, and that Martin Sitomer be ordered immediately freed by this court. Your Honor, I have gone through the ordeal and agony of a murder trial. I have endured 7 years to fight the result of that trial. My conviction to the gas chamber. Now that I have succeeded in doing that, I find myself here today, and incredibly enough, threatened with double jeopardy.
All right. Now, Mr. Watchman, would you like to be heard on the defense motion?
Just briefly, Your Honor. The claim of double jeopardy has no legal basis. The defendant waived the right to use such a claim by the very act of successfully seeking a setting aside of his conviction and death sentence. He cannot have it both ways.
Motion denied. Martin Sitomer, I hereby hold you without bail on the charge of murder in the first degree for the death on April the 7th, 1962 of Mrs. Alice Bender. You're remanded to the jurisdiction of the police of this city. There being no other matter brought before this court today, we're now adjourned.
Mr. Washburn, I see you have a copy of my book.
Yes?
I never knew whether each chapter would be the last I'd be able to write.
Well, it's well written.
Thank you. Now I find myself still alive and working on a second book. I've done 3 chapters. I wonder if I'll be able to finish that.
How's it going today?
Oh, just routine, Sam.
I wouldn't say that. Anytime you deal with a wise apple like Sitomer, it's never a just routine. Is this really any good?
Mm-hmm. You ought to read it.
Maybe one day. No pictures, huh? Which reminds me. Remember when I said I'd tell the lad to make up copies of those pictures they took 7 years ago? The night that Sitomer decided to howl? Printed up real clear, didn't they? This is your set, Bill. Now, the book is illustrated.
You understand, Chief? Technically, Mr. Bender is no longer a patient here.
By the computerized standards we have to use today, with the facilities for the mentally ill so overloaded, he was able to go home 2 years ago.
Except he had no home to go to.
He works back of the greenhouse. See, there's a private fund. People who know about the case, who pay his room and board, his so-called salary. You can just go on back. He expects you. Naturally, he doesn't know about the private fund. But the rest of it, Chief, he knows too well.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I work while we talk? I'd like to keep busy.
No, go right ahead, Mr. Bender.
There's a certain shade of yellow I'm trying to get. I keep missing a little. 8:15. I can give you the exact time, if that means anything.
Yes, it could. It could.
8:15. 8:15. It was always the same. I got into the car, turned on the radio to the evening sports roundup, and like always, I was just turning my own corner when the program was over. It used to be nice. Sports driving home. 8:15, that's when my headlights caught him running out of my front door and across the street. And then across the field the kids used to play football on and toward the highway.
That was Setoma, then, you saw coming out of your house.
Setoma. They said I was in no condition to be a useful witness at the trial. I suppose they might say that this time, too. But I saw him. Oh, it's still wrong. I can't do anything anymore. I can't get the color right. I've been working on this a long time.
Well, it looks fine to me, Mr. Bender. Doesn't really matter.
It matters. Don't you know it matters? Then I heard the screaming, the kids. I ran into the house. There she was, Alice, my wife, all naked, lying there dead. And Mrs. Meyer, the woman next door, who just happened to walk into the middle of the whole thing. She was the same. But not dead. Not yet. Our children, the children standing there against the wall. I thought they would never stop screaming. Mrs. Meyer, Ruth Meyer, the neighbor. She was an English teacher at the high school. Did you know that? I mean, a very smart lady, very good with words. She described Setoma to me before the police came, before they picked up Setoma, before they could have tipped her off how to describe Setoma. Like some of those articles and people making speeches have said. Just to me, with my kids screaming, and my wife's body a foot away. Setoma. The hair, the nose, the eyes. It bothers me. I can't get it right. The rest is the same. A house in miniature. But the new people living there painted it white, I hear. Even if I went and looked, it wouldn't do any good.
Well, I can see it's a very nice house, Mr. Bender.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Chief, come back if you get a chance. I'll have this finished soon.
I suppose you think I asked for this meeting as some kind of a trick, don't you?
You're very good with words, Mr. Stoller. Why not use a precise one? Maneuver.
struck by another word you just used. Prisoner doesn't get a chance to hear it too often. Thanks for the mister. But to tell you the truth, it was automatic. Mr. Washburn, I wish I could tell you how much I would like to be able to live automatically. Do and say things like that without having to plan every thought, every word, every action. Maneuver, yeah. You might call it that. I'm claiming another one of the rights the courts gave the defense. The right of discovery. Right, Mr. Washburn. Any witnesses or physical evidence, any depositions of any sort. Since I'm acting as my own defense, I officially request that we meet here regularly until the trial. Do you object?
I don't object.
After all, Mr. Washburn, you're a smart man. You know your way around a murder trial better than anybody I know. You might possibly maneuver me just as much as I'd be able to maneuver you. Okay. Well, what can I know so far?
Well, we're just beginning. I have only one report from Chief Danforth. An interview he had yesterday with a Mr. Bender.
Certainly you couldn't think of possibly putting a man like that on the stand. No, I know that clinically speaking, he is in control of his faculties. Oh, yeah, you're wondering how I know that about Mr. Bender.
I'm wondering all sorts of things about you.
Yeah, well, I know that about Mr. Bender because I am the secret fund that pays for his keep up there. I do it through a front, Mr. Washburn. The same front that pays for his children. The profits from my book. Now, you got the picture? The maneuver? You dig?
You were telling me that I have the right of discovery, too. That I'm to discover you. Do you really think that'll affect my handling of the case? If I found out you were truly sorry and had 100 secret funds?
And that's your handling of the case. But what you might discover about me may affect you. I want to live. Oh. But that's not the important thing. I've got something to prove. I've changed. Other poor fools like me can change. You see, Mr. Washburn, I may not be around, but you will. You're one of them, the men that make the laws and that can change them. Now that's the discovery I dare you to expose yourself to. Not me. No, you, damn it.
When's your next conference with the all-American boy? Oh, tomorrow, I guess. Don't worry about it. Oh, kid, I'm not worried about it. I got two to a match here. What? Well, you see what the old boy tried to pull? The little left shoulder feint there tried to get me to drop my guard. Yeah. Subtle as your point is, I seem to get it. I, too, can spot a sucker punch. Point is, how are things with you? Oh, what do you mean? My investigation? Oh, well, in the lap of the gods.
Sure makes me feel important, you coming all the way down here to see me. But I can't tell any more than I told 7 years ago. After all, the truth does not turn bad and sour with time.
Ain't it the truth?
You don't trust me. You think that the rest of me are like these, disfigured early and marked for life.
You know, I kind of like Lefty here. If you wiggle your fingers, does she do the hoochie-cooch?
I've been here 2 years now, and I believe that I've learned to do some good.
Oh, I see. Then you've changed too, huh? Just like your buddy Satomer.
We were never buddies. Like two sharks out in that ocean, they may hunt together, but each can eat the other alive, and they both know it. Here.
Thank you. What happened that night?
We'd been moving around the state, Satomer and me, doing this and that. Well, anyway, like I told the previous district attorney, this guy who gave us the hitch dropped us off by a roadside market. It was about 7 o'clock at night. And then this Mrs. Bender comes in. We knew she lived close by. We'd seen her walk. She was buying a few last-minute items. We'd heard her talking. She said that her husband never came home till late. They didn't eat until 8. Then Satomer, he says to me something about she's got a lot of money in her purse. And that she wasn't bad looking neither. Yeah, he noticed that. Then when she went, he looked to see where she'd gone to. And he wanted me to come along. I thank God that I was chicken that day. I said no.
Satomer testified at the trial that there were other men in that store. That one of them left almost at the same time you two did. And you actually did not see Satomer go into the Bender house?
I actually did not see Satomer go into the Bender house. I saw him walk in that direction. But I did see him about an hour later, tapping on the window of the tavern where I was. He wanted me to go outside. He wanted to tell me something. And the scratches on his face. Then the police car come up.
Yeah, that's when you got religion. Gonna have to tell your story in court again, so don't leave the state. That's the state of California, Reverend, not the state of grace.
That's the list of witnesses so far. Your old pal, the Reverend.
Not my pal, not a Reverend either.
The 2 policemen who picked you up outside the tavern, the 3 detectives who took turns questioning you.
Also not my pal.
And the guy from the police lab who did the analysis of the skin particles under the fingernails of both women. Now, we'll be reintroducing his official report. This is your copy for the record.
It was inconclusive the last time.
You know, I've seen better analysis. I'll use it, though.
Want some candy?
No, thanks. Sure, why not?
You're a very sensitive man, Mr. Washburn. You realize it's more considered to accept what a man like myself has to offer than to politely say no.
Well, it so happens I think you have a lot to offer. I also think you're going to be convicted again. Murder 1.
As of now, you haven't got that much of a case. Especially since you can't use the other woman's testimony this time.
Well, it's going to improve. Sam Danforth is a good cop. By the way, I gave him my copy of your book this morning.
Huh? Maybe that'll give him something to do tonight if TV's lousy.
Not tonight, Martin. Tonight he's working.
You were smart, Chief, to check on people who sits over in the death house. That's just routine, Fanner. I didn't drive 300 miles to Nevada to find that out about you. Now, like I told you on the phone today, when you get the meat on your list, you get to the big one. And I'm the baby who can tell you. Because last year, when yours truly was still a guard up there, right there, in that death house, Satomer actually confessed. And he put it in writing. Jackpot! Satomer confessed in writing? What are you talking about? Talking about the thing I know, Chief.
The juicy thing I've been sitting on for months now. I was just waiting for the right moment to make my move with what I know. And you took care of that problem for me with your phone call. When you asked, was I the same William J. Fanner who'd been a guard up there until last September? Which I was, Chief. Which I was. Until a certain party. Warden Lewis B. Milbank got him to tie a can to me. Unprogressive attitude. Inconsistent with modern penology.
Yeah, look, I'm not interested in Warden Milbank.
Oh, yes, you are. It was April when his next to last appeal had been turned down, and he didn't know yet that he was going to get another chance because some bleeding heart in the Supreme Court had found a new way to baby pigs like him.
Come on, Fanner, the confession.
Yeah. Well, now, Satomer thought he'd finally had it, and he just sat there writing. He was always writing, you know. Milbank came around for a little talk with him, like he did a lot. And I was there. And Satomer said that he'd written this thing for him. And Satomer read it out. It was some kind of a poem or something. Black and white. He confessed. Lots of winners, lady. That's the way, all the way. The next day, I took it while he was taking exercise. And I copied it. Exact. And then I put it back. They said, jerk, see the father. Time's almost up. So make your last confession. Maybe absolution works. But this father is a stranger to me. Like that one-nighter, Mr. Unknown, who gave me the life they're about to take back. So this is for you, who gave me absolution first, and I never asked for these words. These almost last words I send you tonight. My father, that night running away, I heard screams, and a car radio turned to sports. Somebody had won something, but what the hell did I care? Because Martin Satomer, wise apple, Martin Satomer, had just lost. My father, my only father, I have sinned even more than they say, my father. I am frightened, my confessor. Please pray. So?
So it's just a poem.
So was the Star-Spangled Banner.
Well, what did they tell you? Satomer's showing his true colors?
That's what they said, give or take a few four-letter words.
Yeah, I know them, too. I'm not just a poet, you know. And what about your boy Danforth? Does he get a special medal for his brilliant detective work?
You requested a meeting. What do you want?
And that psychotic Fink Fanner. You got a good citizenship award for that sadistic fat slob?
I'll see you in court.
A poem. A lousy little poem. What's the matter, Mr. Honorable District Attorney? Didn't they teach you about poetic license in whatever coon college you went to?
No, it's all right. All right. The school I went to taught me the rules of evidence. There's a place in this case for that poem.
I'll knock it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll make you look like the fool you are for trying to use it.
So long. Wait.
Please. It's not just the poem. It's not just that. I honestly believe I could make a jury think I was writing in general terms. That remark about the broadcast was just a recognizable coincidence. That what I really was confessing to was the sins of my life.
Were you?
thinking about Warden Milbank. They'll crucify him.
He's a strong man, Martin. I think he can take it.
Oh, boy. There are over 70 men in that death house. They're not a bit strong. Oh, now don't tell me you didn't know that there were that many up there. You're the DA of this county.
I know.
No. You can't know. You can't understand. I got nothing. Year after year, nothing. Just this one thing. Milbank. He hates that gas chamber just as much as they do. No, more. He's everything. Don't you see that?
If I think the introduction of that poem will make a difference in this case, I'll use it. You've been duly informed.
Hey. On behalf of Warden Milbank and all the boys up there, you know where you can file this.
Al Raymond here. What's your beef? This thing could go on forever. It's already 3.5 weeks. It could cost a fortune.
Sometimes it does. Sirhan Bashara Sirhan went on trial January 18th, 1969. His most recent appeal was turned down May 21st, 1969. In between, the county of Los Angeles spent $962,925.
Man, that's crazy.
Is it? I don't know that I'd put down a civilization willing to spend $1 million in order not to wrongfully take a human life.
Your Honor, forgive me, but I must keep coming back to the same point. The defendant, like any other prisoner on death row, lived a life of fantasy. Then he wrote a poem which compounded the fantasy. That all that the jury is going to hear and read are the words themselves, which look literal.
The defense has ways of making that very point to the jury. So far, Mr. Plato, the defense has not missed any points.
Now, wait a minute. The defense, Mr. Flato here, whom you made me take, though I wanted to handle the case myself, won't go to the gas chamber if any points are missed. Nor will the jury understand words like, fantasy or things like that. Now, can't we cut the mumbo-jumbo? I know that jury will interpret my poem as a confession to Mrs. Bender's murder. I also know that I could make things worse for myself if I took the stand on my own behalf. Now, isn't that what you're trying to say, Mr. Flato?
I do feel, Your Honor, that the defendant would not be a winning witness.
My instructions to the jury would certainly make it clear that the defendant's decision not to take the stand must not be held against him.
Now, wait a minute. You sound like you're ruling against my motion.
I'm about to.
Well, will you answer me one question? Will you do that? What about Warden Milbank? You can instruct the jury, but you can't tell the public what to think. Why should a humane man and an important man be a victim to all this?
The victim in this case is Mrs. Bender. Defense motion denied.
Congratulations. And to your boy, Danforth. I saw a story about Danforth in the papers. It says he's actually reading my book. Do you think that reading about my life story will change Danforth's ideas?
Well, why not? After all, haven't you been claiming that anybody can change, even Martin Sitomer?
That's right. And I am.
You're fighting and lying, Martin. You're lying about this poem to save your own neck, not the warden's neck, and not the campaign against capital punishment.
My. Does it make you feel a little better to think that?
No. And it never will. My father, my only father, I have sinned even more than they say. My father, I am frightened. My confessor, please pray. That was the poem, sir? Did the defendant tell you who wrote those words and when?
He said that he wrote that poem that same night.
Thank you, Warden.
The thing is, Mr. Washburn, that Men who are only a few hours away from the execution chamber frequently say or think or even write many things. Some have a kind of religious fervor, some have hysteria.
Sir, your record as a trustworthy and compassionate public official makes you well worth listening to on such a subject as this. But with all respect, I must say, you were asked only to answer direct questions. Your witness.
Your Honor, I find that it is necessary for my discussion with my client to become rather more extended right now. Since it is close to the lunch hour, may I request that we recess now?
Do you intend to proceed with the cross-examination of this witness at that time, Mr. Plato?
The witness will be cross-examined, Your Honor.
I think I smell something.
Maybe it's lunch.
You know, I have to admit, Bill, this case is making some kind of a paranoiac out of me.
What did you say, sir?
I said that the chili dog is mine.
Ham on rye for you, Mr. Washburn.
Thank you.
A chili dog for the overly suspicious gentleman.
You know, I was half suspicious of you, as a matter of fact. Not that I thought you were dogging it, I mean, but I got the impression that maybe your heart wouldn't break if Satoma got off.
Is that when you decided to read the book, Sam? To see what there was about Satoma that could louse up a reasonably good DA?
Oh, come on now. Don't you get paranoid. I said half suspicious. That was only for a half a day. All right. As a matter of fact, that's when I did start to read the guy's life story.
Well, now that you have, what do you think about everything?
Mr. Plato, you may proceed with the cross-examination.
Your Honor, the defendant respectfully requests that he be allowed to conduct this cross-examination himself. I might add, Your Honor, that because of what I know of the circumstances, I believe this request is in the interest of justice.
I've appointed you, Mr. Plato. I must rely on your judgment.
I ask you to grant the defendant's request.
The defendant may proceed.
Warden Milbank, the district attorney wanted specific answers to a very few specific questions. He didn't ask you what else I said to you that night, other than to say I had written this poem. Certainly, he must have wondered. Certainly, the jury must have wondered. Do you recall what else I said to you?
Yes, I do. You talked about the fact that you felt that you were a changed man, and that you knew I thought so, too. You said what a waste it was, that you were going to have to die in a few hours before you could prove that you had become rehabilitated, that other men and women...
Well, of course, I didn't die that night. I got another reprieve and the final court reversal, which brings me here today to this room. Now, Warden Milbank, as the qualified expert in the field of penology and the recognized leader in the campaign against capital punishment, do you believe that in that extra time I was able to prove that I have changed?
No. I'm afraid the answer is no. Not yet.
Well, now, just for the record, have I had any contact with you? Or has any emissary of mine contacted you since Chief Danforth visited you 2 weeks ago on behalf of the district attorney?
No.
Now, Warden, the next question is going to be rather difficult for you. The district attorney could object. I sincerely hope he doesn't. No. Warden, what is the one thing I could do today, right now, to prove to a great number of people that I have truly become a rehabilitated man?
A question as general as that, I really wouldn't know how to answer it.
Forgive me, Warden, but I think you do. We've been close. Closer than most fathers and sons. You shared so much with me, even the way you think. Don't worry about the effect your answer will have. You're a truthful man. Speak the truth. What could I do right now to prove that I've changed?
I think if you were to say that the poem you wrote that night, well, if you were to say that that poem really was a confession to the murder of Mrs. Bender, then I think the whole country would know that it wasn't easy. It still isn't easy. But that you are a changed man.
Well, why, in your opinion, should I say a thing like that?
Because, Martin, it's the truth. I know that now, with total certainty, whereas I only guessed it before. You killed Mrs. Bender, and you killed her neighbor, too. And here, today, through me, in this room, you have just confessed for a second time.
This doesn't help. No, it doesn't. Stupid. Stupid, stupid. What? I said it's stupid. What's the matter? Can't you hear? Yeah, I hear ya.
Yeah, I can hear. Damn it, I can hear.
I'm sorry, Warden.
Famous last words. But maybe Martin Zatoma, with that fine and original mind of his, will come up with something else before he starts holding his breath.
Hay 16 bales. Alfalfa 8 bales.
Check.
Barley 4. Oats
4 barley, okay. Oats 4, okay.
2 cases of assorted vitamins, liquid and capsule.
Say, can I get some more of the capsules?
Now this time we're going with a new distributor. Let me know how it works out.
That ought to keep the animals real happy.
Yeah.
My husband sent to me last night. He said, Miss Parker, that's my Parker. Miss Parker, he said, how come I'm eating my casserole this week? Because I figured out my own cookbook now. A million ways to cook your vegetables. What I want to know is, Al, how come prices keep going up, but my husband's shop had to lay off a dozen men last week?
I'd like to say something about that. The 5 minutes, buddy. The president of my company got back. Why in order? No more overtime. What kind of work are you in? Sheet metal. A lot of us have been making pretty good money overtime. Well, you know how it is. Make money, spend it, and all of a sudden we have to take second jobs on those TVs and dishwashers go back up in possession.
Why getting out of the house these days? It costs you an arm and a leg. It's got to run you close to $1 an hour. You get home, your house is a mess, and there's no something now.
They're too busy leaving garbage on the road to worry about what's going on down here.
Maroon. Hi, man. After 8 1/2 months of famine, your friendly neighborhood dope dealer brings you tidings of comfort and great joy. Right. I'm holding 300 kilos, plus a lot of pure polyunsaturated acid. And I want to move it all right now, man. So start filling them orders.
Well, you ask me.
Who's asking you?
Kids, you put everything you have into them. They turn around on you, wind up in jail, or worse, smoking dope, or taking pills, or whatever it is they do.
I haven't heard about many kids in this town being arrested for drugs. I think the kids in this town are pretty stable. What do you think, Al?
I think I'm going to try this format more often. Thanks for calling in. Al Raymond here.
Oh, Clancy, you'll be seated in the middle of the first row, about where Mrs. Benson is going to sit. And you'll come forward on your own after the invocation.
Sure you can trust me?
Well, I'll find out when it happens, but I think so, yes. We've all done some growing up this past year.
You have grown up because I'm not in your office every day, bugging you to do something about the teachers who don't know what they're talking about, could care less.
Yeah. And to you, I have grown because I finally started listening.
I did something about it, some of the time.
Now, look, Clancy, when you mature just a little bit more, you'll find out that you can't win every battle.
Until one day it doesn't even work. When I'm that mature, I'll kill myself.
Clancy will introduce you after the first song of the choir, Jimmy. Oh, I still haven't read your speech yet, but...
they're just pure nostalgia, Mr. Bazell. Remembering the good old days when we had football, drama, and first aid instruction.
Well, you ought to thank the good Lord the state legislators finally woke up to the fact that if they gave up all the frivolity for us, they could still raise their salaries.
Can we be of some help?
Yes, we're looking for Clarence Prescott Austin. I'm Clancy Austin. Clarence Prescott Austin, it's my duty to inform you you're under arrest for the possession of marijuana and the possession of dangerous drugs.
You've got to be kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. You have the absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used as evidence against you in court.
This is one poor place to make an arrest, officer.
You have the right to consult with an attorney, to be represented by an attorney, and to have an attorney present before any questions are asked. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed by the court free of charge to represent you before any questioning if you desire. Let's go.
Wait a second. You're going to arrest Clancy, you're going to have to arrest me, too. Brown Mustang convertible in the student parking lot. the lid in the glove compartment. Put him on.
My locker's on the second floor. Number 2513. 9 left, 26 right, 3 left. A couple of lids and some caps.
You better go call Danforth.
Okay, I'm on my way. Thanks for calling. Have a car downstairs for me right now and get Danforth. Yes. Yes. Well, that figures. Have him contacted in his car. I don't want any students moved until I get to that school.
Is there some way we can avoid this circus?
A little late for that.
Oh, I can't believe that. This is insanity.
I couldn't agree with you more. All right, take it easy, spread out and relax. Not going to be any trouble. All right, now start moving in one at a time. Move to the rear, take up all the seats, and no standing. Get going.
Thanks for coming.
Didn't you get my message?
I got a call from your office.
Well?
I do my job the way I see it, period.
I got my acceptance to Princeton yesterday. Guess I can forget about that now.
And that bus could have been a Nobel Prize winner.
There are a lot of prize winners in this bus.
Thanks for the unnecessary trip.
You crumb. That's right, I smoke grass. I drop acid, I pop speed. Now come on, pal, those kids broke the law.
There are more tactful ways of handling this kind of arrest.
What do you want me to do? Give them an RSVP engraved invitation? There's only one way to handle arrest I know of, and that's to take somebody into custody.
Danforth, I'm not denying these kids broke the law. At least not yet. But you didn't have to make a public spectacle out of their arrest.
What do you mean, not yet?
You know for sure that all those kids who turned themselves in are actually holding drugs?
I know that everyone who gave themselves up and told us where their stash was, that so far not one of them told a lie. Everybody told the truth.
Mm-hmm. Any idea why they made it so easy for you?
I don't know. But when somebody tells me he's committed a crime, I don't turn them loose.
Why don't you stop for a minute and think why they admitted the truth? Admitted to a crime, told you where the evidence was. It's a gesture of contempt, pal. Contempt for you, for me, for a set of laws that make no sense to them at all. Now, in one afternoon, you've managed to bust most of the leaders of this community's youth. I've got to face them, and their parents, and the more intelligent of their teachers, the more advanced of their church representatives. Do you know what they're going to say to me?
How could you let this happen? Now, we brought you into this town to help modernize police techniques and to show them intelligence and social insight. And you wind up herding our boys on a police van like a bunch of convicts on a chain gang.
Oh, no, of course there were no chains. Every student was informed of his rights. You can talk to them anytime you like. And bail can be arranged for those over 18.
Well, my boy's only 17. What happens to him?
Well, there'll be a pre-detention hearing at juvenile court.
All right, when does all that happen?
First thing tomorrow morning, Judge Spender's court. That's when he usually talks to all the juveniles brought in the last 24 hours.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to lump my boy with all those hippies and juvenile delinquents and drug addicts?
What is your boy's name?
Robert Price.
Robert Price, Jr.
That's right. He's named after me, so what?
Voluntarily led police officers to his biology lab locker, in which were 6 ounces of marijuana and half a dozen caps, now being analyzed by the crime lab.
I don't believe it.
Well, you'd better believe it, because that's what the judge is going to ask him about tomorrow morning. And he may have some questions for you, too.
For me?
You're going to want him turned loose, right? He may ask you why your boy wanted to be arrested. Sit down, gentlemen. Let's take it through step by step. On answering a complaint, officers Fisher and Kowaleski went to suspect's house where they apprehended 2 ounces of what is apparently marijuana and 2 capsules of what is apparently LSD. 2 whole ounces. Ought to have a commendation from the Treasury Department for that. All right, Fisher. Tell me about it.
Well, Kowaleski and I were called in and given a search warrant to go to this house. Somebody phoned in and reported narcotics on the premises. We went out. This lady, Mrs. Austin, let us in.
That's the mother of the boy who called in.
I took it, sir, and requested a search warrant.
Well, we went upstairs to the kid's bedroom and found the stuff in the underwear drawer right where the warrant said it was.
2 lids of grass and 2 caps of acid.
That's all there was. His mother said he was holding more.
Yeah. And then you just got bust happy and rolled on out to the graduation rehearsal.
Yes, sir.
They called me first, Chief.
Well, you must be the star of this whole show then, Sergeant. Real winner today. How much longer you got before your 20's in?
59 weeks, sir.
You got a couple of kids, don't you? A couple of teenagers?
I've got 2 girls at high school.
You're gonna make sure they're all wrapped up and protected from the world as long as you can, aren't you? Are you aware, Sergeant, of the narcotics control situation in this town?
I never worked narcos, sir.
I'm not asking you where you worked. I said, are you aware of the accomplishments of this department?
Yes, sir.
Then you must be aware of the fact that in 8.5 months, we've literally cut off the supply of dope in this town. You must also be aware we've been working with federal agents and state agents to dry up the border and the state lines. Now, apparently today, we got a call about a kid who is so wealthy in narcotics that he can leave his stash in his socks and underwear. Either of you think to ask the mother, did she have some idea where her son got this magnificent haul that you seized?
No, sir.
Did it ever occur to you, Sergeant, that it might make more sense to keep an eye on Austin, see if his friends are also in possession? Let the narcotics detectives try to identify the pusher.
No, sir. Narcotics would have gotten a copy of the report.
I have a copy of the report right here. It does not tell me where the stuff is coming back from. Someone has probably dumped a ton of this stuff in town by now. And for 2 ounces, you may have blown our chances to nab him.
Excuse me, sir. But I couldn't know, and Fisher and Kowaleski couldn't know that all those kids were holding narcotics. Or that someone dumped a ton, as you put it. I was on the desk. I had to make the decision. Now, if there's a beef to ride, I'll ride it. But you're judging from hindsight.
Hold it for a minute, will you? You're right, Sergeant. Thank you, sir. That's all for now. Edmond here, yeah.
We've been waiting too long now.
Let's form a line right over here.
I'm not going to fall in light. I've been here for an hour and a half.
Well, I can't talk to you all at once.
Why not? We're not talking. Just get the GGI and 15.
Please, folks, let's just form a line. Now, what are you going to do about my boy? He's just been appointed to West Point, and they're not going to like this.
You have no proof that my daughter's on marijuana. She's Nancy Swanginger, and it's spelled exactly the way it's pronounced, as CHWANGPGIR.
Please, folks, if we could just form a line.
I waited an hour and a half.
I know, I've been here, too. Let me speak to why.
No, my daughter didn't get there until at all.
If we could form a line, it'd be much easier to speak to you.
No, I called my husband. He's going to come down here. You're right.
D-lysergic acid, diethylamide, tartar 25, plus trimethoxyphenylethylamine.
Come, Wally, knock it out. LSD and what else?
A little mescaline, a ton of methamphetamine. That's speed to you.
That is a moon ride.
Worse than that. We've isolated an impurity we haven't analyzed yet. It could be deadly.
Deadly?
You and Clancy are very close, then.
Close? Oh, goodness, yes. Well, I taught him everything. You name it.
Love. Respect.
That's what you would say, isn't it? Love. Well, what do those kids know about love, huh? They give you a flower. Now, is that love?
Why did you turn him in?
Well, someone's got to do something. May I have a cigarette, please? I mean, it's that crowd that he's running with. Thank you.
You lit a fuse.
Oh, did I now? Well, I'm glad that someone's got the guts enough to strike a match in that bedroom community.
What about this crowd he runs with?
Well, I mean, you're known by your friends, aren't you? I mean, that's my experience, and Clancy's friends. Ooh, creeps.
Well, I was over at the school today. They all seem like good, clean kids to me.
Cynthia? I mean, did you check on that Cynthia? Well, it's no sense of fun. I mean, they absolutely have nothing in common with each other. I know what Clancy likes to do. She certainly doesn't.
Counselor, we got trouble, big trouble. Acid is poisonous, it's deadly. Well, they just analyzed in the lab.
Better put a call out on it.
I already have. I've notified the radio and TV stations.
How could it be poisonous?
Well, he says it's laced with speed and something else. That something else makes it deadly. I'm waiting for him to pin it down.
How large was that batch? Well, we'll never know. Well, I'll try to get to him, find out when they bought it.
They bought it yesterday. I talked with Austin. But he's being honorable. He refuses to reveal the source of supply.
Any other way of finding out?
Maybe. Alfalfa was found with the marijuana has never been treated with any form of pesticide.
Well, how does that help us?
I thought I was the only big city boy. It means it was never used as a cover crop for a field lying fallow. It's feed raised specifically for animals. We're checking out the feed store, farms, stables, zoo, etc., you know.
See, it's a tough spot. Better get your prowls on patrol. Loudspeaker. Tell the streets anybody that's had acid in the last 24 hours, get to a doctor or a hospital right away.
That might be Wally. Hello. Just a minute, it's for you.
Yes. Thanks. It's a demonstration, it's a strike, it's a walkout. All the kids are walking out of school.
So the town is newsworthy again, huh?
For that much grass, Danforth.
What do you mean, for that much grass? What about the acid? It's loaded, it's lethal. The kids say that speed kills. It does kill. That kid that butchered those two women in Cape Cod, he was on speed. That fashion model tried to fly off the top of a pine tree, she was on speed. It's more dangerous than all of them. And that includes heroin. That much grass. As far as I'm concerned, I'm with Mrs. Austin. It's a lucky thing she turned him in when she did, whatever her reasons.
Jealousy.
What? Yeah? Doesn't matter. She just got us started a little early on this thing, that's all. Let's go to work.
Anyone who has recently acquired acid, get rid of it immediately. Anyone who has dropped acid in the last 24 hours, go to a hospital or your family doctor immediately. This LSD is contaminated and will kill you if you don't get medical attention. I repeat, this acid will kill you. This acid is deadly. Our lab technicians checked it out. It's poison. Get rid of it. This acid is deadly.
APB Cynthia Jelko, 17, blonde, 5'5", home address 633 La Mesa. All right. Do you know anybody who drops acid? Well, you dropped yours down the drain, the storm drain. What do you got?
Line 2, Sam.
Yes, Danforth? Yeah. Who is this? No. All right, go ahead. Right. Yeah. All right, I've got it. Who is this? Sergeant. Same anonymous caller. 4 more kids who dropped his stuff. Go pick them up, get them to the hospital. Well, you see how cooperative he is. Now, why can't you be the same?
Make us sergeants, and we will be.
You think you could handle it? Yeah, I know. All we're out to do is bust people, right? Now, look, they make the laws, we enforce them. Now, I gotta believe that they must be followed. Otherwise, we gotta go back to living in the caves. Are my men doing the job? They get called pigs. You don't like the laws? You get them changed if you can. But until then, you obey them. Hello. Yeah, speaking. Who's this? Wally. Good. Go ahead. Shoot. Yeah, I got it. Ames, yeah. Very good. That ought to cut down the work a little bit. Thank you. All right, you boys go on home. Carl, Rich, I just talked with Wally. He's checked the places around town that use alfalfa, and all of them deal with our local feed store with the exception of 3. But the feed store does not handle the brand that we found with the marijuana. Their brand is sort of treated with an artificial sugar compound. Now, the 3 exceptions are Ames Stable, United Livestock, and the San Sebastian Zoo. Carl, you're getting the phone to Ames and United. Check with personnel. I want the names of all the employees, their birth dates, their birthplaces. You pull out the jackets of the civil service employees. Get those names into the FBI, Federal Bureau of Narcotics, CII, LAPD. I want anything you can get on anybody. Get started.
Right, Chief.
Cynthia? Well, is she there? Listen, tell her to call Tiger when she gets in. Yeah, she knows who I am. Yeah, listen, tell her to call right away, okay? Yeah.
My mother turned me in, huh? She's okay. My mother's okay. Slightly fouled up, but okay. I don't blame her.
Who do you blame?
Snoopy for going to the moon. The law. You can burn your lungs out with cigarettes or rot your liver with whiskey, but marijuana is a felony.
How about acid?
It's okay to take a trip to the moon, but not inside your own head.
You'll go further than the moon on the batch you bought.
Saturn, maybe?
That acid has all kinds of garbage in it. Speed, plus something else they're still working on. Lethal.
Is that the truth?
The truth is this batch can kill you.
What else do you want from me?
Who sold it to you?
No way. Oh, by the way, I'm entitled to one call. I'd like to make it now.
There's a pay phone down the hall.
Morgan.
Hold it. Let me have him a minute. Rogers 8312 on phone number of James Jelko. Oh, Cynthia has that acid and you wouldn't tell me?
You once told me that if I smoked a joint of marijuana, it would lead me to heroin and rot my brains out. But I went ahead and smoked that joint. And if anything, my vision is clearer now. So I started to look into the other things that you told me were true. And they all fell apart. I don't believe in you, Mr. Washburn. My generation doesn't believe in you. Cynthia's on a bummer. You put her there. Why should I trust you to get her off?
Just a second, son. Now, I don't know who appointed you spokesman for a whole generation, but I did have a chance to talk to Cynthia earlier, and she didn't complain about a lot of things. I think her phrase was, everybody might be sorry, but it wouldn't change anything. Well, I am sorry you had to find out adults didn't always tell you the truth. I sympathize. But no policeman forced Cynthia to drop the acid you gave her.
You don't have to campaign to me, Mr. Washburn. I'm not old enough to vote. Cynthia can take the tube. You can arrest me and every other student in the country. But it's coming, man. And there's no stopping it.
I've notified the Border Patrol of Mexicali, Juarez, Nogales, Tijuana, all the way to Brownsville. Vancouver, Canadian border. But I got a hunch it's being flown in again. Not just a light plane. Something like a B-25 carry 3 or 4 tons, land anywhere in the middle of the States.
That's a terrible thing. Sensitized radar was paying off.
Maybe they found some way to get around it. Or it could be coming in by boat. Hundreds of boats come into the San Diego Mission Bay area on Sunday night.
Help me, will you?
We're the only city hit.
Apparently. I called Curcio in L.A., Friedman in San Francisco.
What kind of grass?
Very good. Excellent, according to the lab. Probably bring about $200 in the open market per kilo.
What about the acid?
Could be the mob. Up here, of course. Needling it with speed to get the kids in harder stuff. But this time, it's a very bad trip. Deadly trip. Hello, Carter.
Hello, sir.
Your parents should be here to pick you up any minute now.
This is a very interesting experience.
How did you get the marijuana?
For my sister and her friends.
Why do you smoke it?
Well, I didn't really. I was just going to try it for the first time.
Do you know that smoking is against the law?
Yes.
Looks like you've got an entire team written on there.
Yes. One of them twice. Juan Marshall.
Oh, you like pictures, huh?
That's what I'm going to be. No, that's not true. That's what I'd like to be.
What are you going to be?
Carter Woodward.
Do you know that smoking marijuana is harmful?
That worries me. The smoke in my lungs, I mean. A little. But in actual fact, my sister says you don't take in that much smoke. Just one pop, and that may be only once a month or less.
Why are you going to do something that's against the law?
Martin Luther King broke the law, but some people said it was good. Do you think it was good?
Yes.
You like my dad and mother.
I'm sure I would.
They'll get a bang out of all this. My dad says you should experience everything.
What does your dad do?
To make a living, you mean? He works in an aircraft plant.
I guess the main thing is that he's your father, right?
He's always there.
This just came in from Sacramento, Chief.
Thank you. Reference your request this day to check that the CII file shows no criminal reference, any name. Is there anybody we haven't heard from?
That was the last.
Seems United, Ames, and the zoo have a monopoly on civic virtue. You got that list of names?
It's right here, but...
I know you sent them all, but I had an idea in Chief York's office. Well, the agencies we sent these names to, they wouldn't show juvenile records.
No, they're retained in each county so as not to hang a jacket on a kid for the rest of his life.
I'll tell you what I want you to do. Go over this list, check out the names of the employees under 30, then call the county and tell the juvenile authorities why we need information that they wouldn't ordinarily give out. Now, for example, here, Garcia Joe, stable hand names, born 9149, Salinas. What county is that?
Monterey.
Check that out. Here's another one. Morgan Vance. He's an attendant at the zoo, born 3/16/43 at San Diego. Get on that right away, will you?
Okay.
You got Antwerp here. Right. Tommy, there's a boy in Brunswick Avenue ready to jump. Let's go.
United G7 and G9 proceed to intersection of Beach.
Get out of it.
There's been too much talking. Now, son. Where did you get the acid? Where did you get the acid?
Tiger.
Get him to the hospital.
Good afternoon, miss.
Hi, honey. You've got a bag on. You know you've got a fine bag on? You know that? Wish I felt as good as you. I think we ought to keep that bag full.
Oh, you are right. Perhaps with a chilled bottle of Pinot Blanc, poured into long-stemmed, bold glasses, and held gracefully between the first 3 fingers.
Come on now. Hey, I got a nice pad for you, baby. No. She's got to keep a full head of steam like the rest of us. How much money you got, honey?
I forget.
Let's make a trip to our friendly vintner.
I'll carry the dollar.
You're younger than me. You coming, Billy boy?
You bring her back here. I'm gonna show around the place. Come on. Like to see the apartment?
We haven't arrested any pushers as yet, but we expect to pretty soon. However, I don't think that's going to solve the problem. Now, I don't know why kids smoke marijuana. I suspect it somehow relates to why they wear different style clothes from you and me, why in some cases they wear their hair differently. Now, we've given them a system that they're strongly questioning.
The Attorney General, on line 2.
Excuse me. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. No, sir, no riot. The kids just decided to walk out of school, that's all. It's Friday, long weekend, I guess. What's so bad about that? I know it's bad. I know all that politically, but there's too much politics. Now, all we're trying to do here is see that no one dies. Just to see that no one dies or gets hurt. And so far, we're doing all right.
You will find this wine dry and lively. But first, sniff this wine. Then you'll be able to absorb the real bouquet of the wine. Then taste it.
You didn't show her around. I can't even move her. Lucky girl.
I think she's on something else, you know?
Whatever it is, let's get on it with her.
Oh. Hello, kitty, 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 kitty. Hello, kitty, 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 kitty. Kitty, kitty.
The only cat in the world that loves beef jerky.
In Xanadu,
What?
Kubla Khan, a stately pleasure dome decree. Gotta get to the zoo, Morgan.
Should we take my car or should we take your car? Come on, let's take my car. Come on, come on, come on. Hey, come back here. Come on.
Thank you, Doctor. Let us know when we can talk to him. Right.
Well, the kid who wanted to fly off the fire escape is okay. He's calming down. He's in no shape to talk, even if we were so inclined. Runaway lack of proper supervision. Well, I got some great ideas, huh? Petition in the San Diego County Juvenile Court, 4/12/59. Subject minor Morgan Vance, aka Marvin Vance, aka Tiger. Subject. Wait a minute. Subject is alleged to have crossed the Mexican border in possession of marijuana. I think we're back in business.
But I don't...
The kid in the fire escape. He was looking for Tiger.
Oh, help me, Morgan. Bad trip.
Hey, I've been calling all over. Lay down here. Did you take some of that stuff? Huh? You okay? Bad, huh? Listen, I'll give you something. Here. Take this. No, this is good. It'll take you off the acid. I don't know about the poison, though. I'm gonna have to go to the hospital.
Morgan? Morgan?
Stay down there with those animals, do you, buddy?
Got a better idea?
Yeah, I think so.
I got me a tiger.
And I got a very sleepy girl who's going to the hospital.
All right.
Now, Raymond here. Who's with me?
I hear they turned all the kids loose now.
At least for the time being. Even the dealer made bail on felony charges.
Sometimes I'm glad my kids are still small. But I wonder if it won't be even worse when they grow up. I mean, if they turn them loose, how do they ever learn anything?
What would they learn if they kept them in jail?
Yeah, well, it's a problem. That young blonde that walked in the tiger's cage, she looks a lot like my oldest daughter. She's lucky she's alive.
Yes, she is. Maybe she'll learn from that.
I just had a funny thought, Al. They turned everybody loose except the tiger.
Maybe it's just as well. He'd never find his way home now.